Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Going the Distance podcast. I'm Nicholas Delgado, and I'm your host for everything to do with high school running in Central Illinois. Make sure to follow on Instagram at Going the Distance IL and tune in every Wednesday for a new episode. Now, I know this episode is a day late, but that is because our special guest could not get on until this week, or until today, which is Wednesday, so I can't release it until Thursday. And I did want to make sure I got him on. His name is Charlie Saran from Dunlap. I wanted to make sure I got him on because of last week's Dunlap invite and because I know they've wanted to be on for a long time. But first, let's get started with the previous week's meets. First, locally, we had the Dunlap invite and the Richard Spring invite. The Dunlap invite was won by Eureka with 42 points, just over Dunlap's 46 points. Brendan Heitzig of Lincoln, the senior, won with a 15:07.9, which was almost a minute victory for him. Now at the Richard Spring invite, this was a much larger invite. Oak Park River Forest 3A team comes through with the win at 75 points over Hinsdale Central, who was missing their top runner, Daniel Watkey. He was gone on a college visit apparently. But nonetheless, River Forest still won very convincingly, about 100 points. The individual winner was not from Illinois though. Connor Burns, the sub-4 junior miler from Southern Boone, Missouri, wins the race in 14:22.2, winning by 20 seconds. He is a senior now. I want to make that clear. But as a junior, he ran a 3:58 mile, which is just crazy. I don't know. There's no way that I could ever do that, even when I'm like 30. So whatever. He's fast. He won the meet. But moving on. The Highland Invitational, this is not local, but Marion wins with 30 points, pretty convincing, over Champaign Central with 59. Dylan Nally, the junior Marion, wins in 14:40.2, extremely fast. About a 40-second win over Ethan Hogan from Columbia, who put up once again another impressive time. Also not local, the Caneland Invitational. Downers Grove North, the 3A team, wins with 33 points, and Riley Newport, the senior of DeKalb, wins with a 14:57.4, just over Evan Horgan, the senior of Belvedere North, in 15:01.5. It was a good day for Belvedere North. They definitely had a way better race than, well, I don't know what they were expecting, but than what I expected them to. They had a victory over Caneland. They placed higher than they did, so mile split definitely will take that into account as they make their rankings. Now, finally, the Woodstock Invitational. It's not local, but I thought I'd cover it because it had a couple teams that were up in the mile split rankings. And it was also an interesting meet because they ran in flights, which means all the number 1 runners run together, all the number 2s run together, and so on. So when they added all those together, they had all 7, not just the 5. But they had all 7, and Crystal Lake Prairie Ridge won every single one, I think, except one. And Woodstock was right behind them. They got second in every single one. Individually, from the first flight, Will Gellin, the junior of Crystal Lake Prairie Ridge, wins in 16:32. And that wraps up the previous week's meets. Next, we're moving on to individual performances this week, with weekly top times for the whole state. For 1A, we have Akili Perek, the senior from Chicago Latin. On Saturday at the Richard Spring Invitational, he ran a 15:04.1, an astounding time, top time from a 1A school at that invite. In 2A, the junior from Marion, Dylan Nally, puts up once again another weekly top time. He ran a 14:40.2 on Saturday at the Highland Invitational. And finally, for 3A, Parker Knoll, the senior from Oswego East, wins in 14, he got second, right behind Connor Burns, but he was the weekly top time for 3A this week. He ran a 14:42.3 at the Richard Spring Invite as well. So the Richard Spring Invite at Detweiler, definitely more fast times coming out of there. Not a surprise, as it is the state course. Nice and flat. A lot of people have great races there, especially with people coming down from Chicago and up from Southern Illinois. Now, none of the season top times changes. Isaac Teal, the junior from Pinckneyville, still holds the time from Detweiler Dark for 1A. Dylan Nally from Marion, he still holds with the 14:38 from 2 weeks ago from the Granite City invite. And for 3A, Cameron Vijay, also a junior, so all the season top times are from juniors. But Cameron VJ from Plainfield South with a 14:22 from first to the finish last week still holds the top time for 3A. Now getting into runner of the week. Locally, I chose the junior Mason Hart from Normal Uheim. Usually he is not the number one runner for his team. However, he did lead his team this week at the Richard Spring Invite. They were the first 1A team to place in the standings, and it was his first sub-16 performance, which is a 7-second PR for him. He led his team with a 15:54.9 at the Richard Spring Invitational at Detweiler, and I decided to give him runner of the week because he stepped up to a pretty big role because their team is very solid this year. And we're going to have to race them this week, and they're going to definitely give us a run for our money, if not win. So it should be he should progress very well throughout the season. He's already running sub-16. He's a junior. I think I was close to him last year. I'm not anymore, which is kind of sad, but we'll get there. For the state, though, I gave it to the senior Daniel Winkleman of Elgin Harvest Christian Academy. Now, you may be wondering, well, what meet did he win? He didn't drop any crazy times, and you didn't mention him in any other meets. Well, he actually didn't win a meet. He got 18th at the Southern Showcase at John Hunt Park in Alabama. This is a very fast 5K course, and he ran a 15:26.5 5K. This is the course that Running Lane uses for Garmin Nationals. But nonetheless, 15:26.5 is a very impressive 5K time. With some very tough national level competition, I decided to give him the state athlete of the week, even though he didn't run it in state. He's still from Illinois. He did not run with his team, long travel time, so very impressive that he was able to do this all alone. But great race from him. Now, moving on to our newest segment, Conference Corner. The Middle Illini Conference is up first. Morton leads Dunlap now, 39-67. Morton drops a few points. Dunlap stays the same, but Washington also dropped a few points, but still the same top three. Morton, Dunlap, Washington, 39-67-80. Right behind, though, is Metamora with 89, so literally right behind Washington. Anything can change there. And then Pekin and East Peoria are actually tied with 122. But individually, Morton still has their 1-2-3 punch with Josh Weeks, Leighton Knoop, and Chase Souter. Josh, though, is leading by 56 seconds. This junior is just going off this year. He already ran a 15:11.6 over the junior Leighton Knoop, 16:07 flat. Moving on to the HOI Conference, Eureka now leads with 26 points, which I'm fairly sure is the same as last week. They lead El Paso, who is closing the gap. They only are 7 points behind with 33 points now. So, like I said last week, that battle is going to be extremely close, especially if El Paso Great Lake can get their 4 and 5 runners up. Hayworth right behind it. Well, not right behind, but there at 91 in third place. And then Deer Creek, Mackinac, Tri-Valley, and Tremont behind with 112, 136, and 150 respectively. Individually, the conference is led by Charlie Bardwell, the senior from Eureka, by 26 seconds over Sam Bushert, the senior of El Paso Gridley, in 15:55.4. And finally, for the local conferences, Champaign Central leads Peoria Notre Dame now. The 2 and 3 for this conference completely changed. Champaign Central only in the lead by 5 points now. Notre Dame had a great race at Richard Spring this week. It was only leading by 5 points, 42-47. And then Normal Community, not too far behind at 86. Definitely has some work to do, but can get themselves up there. So Peoria Notre Dame definitely looking to win that conference. And Champaign Central hopefully looking to hold on to it. Individually, still led by Aaron Hendren, the senior of Champaign Centennial, who's run a 15:37 flat, same time as I mentioned last week. Over Sky Riddle, the senior, Normal Community West with the 15:59.5. So individually, nothing's changed, but team-wise, lots of movement in that conference. But now let's go over to our special guest to talk about their last week's Dunlap invite and what their team is looking to do throughout the rest of the season. I am here with Charlie Saran from Dunlap High School. He is the 5th runner on their team. Welcome, Charlie, to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So today I just wanted to talk to you about your season individually and your season as a team, and then some of your future invites/meets and how mile split ranks you. So first off, what are you looking to do this season? Because I know you were hurt a little bit last year.
Yeah, so last year I had shin splints, and it kind of took away my whole season. So this year I'm hoping to just kind of drop the times, maybe around like 16:30, 16:20. Um, yeah, just kind of get some better times is what I'm going for right now. So.
All right, yeah, that's solid. So if you run what you want to run, what place do you think you'll still stay fifth on your team, or do you think you're going to move up with that in the spots?
So I think even with a 16:20 or a 16:30, I'll still be fifth because our team right now, as we're going into the season, we're kind of expecting to get around 4 under 16. Because we're expecting to get Reese, Aiden, and Braden all under 16, and then we're hoping Jacob Gladstone can kind of carry with him and push us to a better state ranking by going under 16. And so if he can do that, that puts us in a good spot because me and Luke Williams are 5 and 6, and we're around the same time. So that puts us like in a really good spot.
Yeah, so I'm also the fifth runner, as you probably know, and our team is we're in the same conference, so it's gonna be interesting how that kind of plays out as we get later in the season. Have you guys spiked up yet?
We have spiked up. So they have us spiking up really whenever we want. They don't really get strict about how much we spike up or what races we spike up at. It's really just a matter of if we want to or not and if we're comfortable.
Okay. Yeah, see we haven't spiked up yet. So I'm excited to see how me and my teammates are going to do at Peoria High, which I know you guys are also at. So we'll get a better look at how we do against each other in a bigger meet like that. And I guess that kind of rolls into the question. So mile split ranked you guys 15th this past week. Do you feel like that's a fair ranking for you guys in the state?
Yeah, so 15 I think as of now is pretty good. I think we can definitely get that down. I had to drop out of that race because I was going through some calf pain and just some other stuff, but we should be looking a little better going into Peoria High and just some of the other races coming up. So I'm thinking we can probably get that down to maybe top 10.
Yeah, so they ranked us 10th, which we haven't run. We didn't run last week, so it kind of makes sense. But so you guys are looking to go top 10 in state is what your goal is for this year.
Yeah, so
yeah.
our goal is just somewhere like maybe even under top 10. We're just trying to get as high, I guess, as we can. So
Yeah, that's fair. So if you're planning on getting 4 guys under 16 though, that's going to be that you'd have a good run definitely at state. It's just up to can all your guys get there and all perform on the same day, which I know was our problem last year as we went into state. If you took all our PRs, we would have placed better in what we did than what we did, but we actually placed. But I know a couple people had some bad days, so it's just it's a cool experience, but it's also a lot of pressure. So you guys are gonna have to go into that kind of how we did last year. But did you guys run at state last year?
Yeah, we were at state. I think we were 20th place or 22nd, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you guys have experience.
Yeah. I didn't run it, so I don't really remember it too well. I haven't had a high school state experience yet, so I'm very excited for this year.
Yeah, I was my mom kind of forced me to do this, so here I am. But I ran in 8th grade, but I was definitely not very fast. So this will be my first last year. I was an alternate, so I went, but I didn't run. Yeah. So it's gonna be like super fun to finally experience the actual race of state. Like it was already super fun to watch everybody come through the mile and just fly by at crazy times. And I'm excited to hopefully drop some time there. I'm sure you are too. And you said you're looking to go 16:30. So if you get your 4 under 16, do you think you're going to try to stay up a little closer to them, or what's your plan with that?
I think if that's the case, I'm just gonna try and kind of stick with them for the rest of it. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it all comes down to how I feel. So
yeah, that's a good way to take it. And I heard from Aiden, and then you just said right now that you dropped out of the Dunlap meet. When did you drop out at?
So I dropped out like a little after a mile. I think it was around a mile and a half, actually.
Okay, so you were coming around that first loop,
Yeah.
and okay, that's probably the smart thing to do, right? You don't want to get hurt for the rest of the season. But
Yep.
we were checking our watches, or my teammates were, and everybody had like 2.9. So would you say your course is short, or is that just like a watch? Well,
So
I know you guys' course is supposed to be 2.96, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
a lot of watches got even lower than that. So
yeah. So it really kind of depends, I guess. A lot of people read like 2.86. A lot of people read 2.96. It's really somewhere in that range. I would say it's 2.9, but in my opinion, the hills on the course make up for it because you go into that second half of the race and there's three massive hills that you have to get through, and it really does add a lot of struggle to the race.
yeah, for sure. I remember. So my freshman year, I ran it twice, and I ran it once last year. And that hill the second time, it's just the first one right after the 2 mile for the second loop is just
Yeah.
absolutely brutal. But you guys put mulch on it, or on the downhill this time, which
Yes, we did. Yeah.
which you did not have last year, and I'm jealous because I always felt like I was gonna fall. So it's great that you have that. But I know it was either you or Aiden were talking to me about extent that you guys were extending the course. You have like a little add-on that you were doing, but you didn't
Oh,
have it
yeah.
ready for the invite.
Yeah. So we have been extending it, and I know they've been working on that for quite a while now. The main thing that like goes into it is keeping the ground flat there, or as flat as the rest of the course. And I know by the day of the invite, it just wasn't there yet, so we didn't want to risk anyone's season by having them run on unflat ground.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how much more would that add to the course? Would it make it a full 3 or?
It should get it right around there. It should be um probably 2.98 or 3, somewhere right in that range.
All right, so okay, you're doing some work every year. You guys have this invite. It's been a thing for a long time now because I know a lot of like when I came in as a freshman, I know all the seniors had run it. What do you guys do to set that up? Do you guys have a team do anything because you guys have like 18 teams, so I'm sure that's a pretty big thing to prepare for.
So mainly we have parents set it up, so we'll kind of text in our remind group for like all the parents asking if anyone wants to go and help set up. And if not, usually it's just maybe some of the top runners will help a little bit, or just the coaches and some of the parents will help do it.
All right, so I saw you guys giving out awards at the end, like trophies and medals. I don't. I'll be honest, I don't remember last year's. Is that something you tend to do every year, or was that a new thing you were trying this year?
We do it most years. It's really just if you want to. It's not like a tradition or anything for runners to hand out our awards. We just kind of like to do it because it's kind of fun. So
Yeah, that's fair. We don't. I mean, we don't have a home course, so it's not very fun to like. We don't have anything to like a home. I don't know how to explain it. We've tried running at Kennel, didn't it just didn't work out very well. It was very repetitive to say the least. So I feel like
yeah,
we run at Dunlap, or not at Dunlap, at Detweiler the most. So I never really have gotten that feeling at that home course.
yeah.
Do you guys race there besides the invite? Do you have like dual meets?
Yeah. We actually had a dual meet earlier today. Our varsity boys didn't run, but we did have a dual meet there. So we have some smaller meets there throughout the year. Not quite as many as we usually do this year, but there are usually quite a few meets there.
All right, awesome. So one last thing before you go, I want to talk about your upcoming meets. You guys are running at East Peoria, correct?
Yep.
Peoria High, and are you at Running Red?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
So from this point forward, we have every single meet together because we'll have conference and then regionals and sectionals. So with us going head to head every time, what do you get? What are you guys looking to do? Are you trying to line up with us, or are you just gonna run your own race and see how it ends up?
I think honestly we will probably try and pack up again. I know it worked for that first mile at Galesburg. So if we can keep our pack as long as possible, it should work out. And if we're able to do that, it'll help push all our times forward. So I think going into the future races, we'll try and do a little bit of packing and then kind of just run our race and see how it goes.
Yeah, I
We
think that's
haven't thought too much about strategy yet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the pack has been working really well for you guys. At Galesburg, I was definitely scared for that first mile. I was
Yeah.
like, I knew I wasn't gonna go out there and destroy you guys, but when I was kind of stuck behind you, I think it was, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 of you guys all in the front coming down through half a mile to 1 mile. I was like, oh my, I did not realize that they were all gonna be up here like this. But it was really cool to see all you guys together as a team, because if you all pass people like that's just gonna take all the hope out of the other person. So if you guys,
That's exactly how we thought about it. It's really just like if you're getting passed by an entire team's varsity, there's no coming back from that. I mean, it's terrible.
yeah. So if you guys end up keeping that pack together through another mile, even a mile and a half, you guys are gonna definitely keep improving as a team for sure. It's
Yeah.
always fun to see cross country like that. I think it's a really great sport to see the teamwork and like team development with each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time. It was great talking to you today.
Yeah, of course. It was great talking to you too, man.
Now for the weekly outlook of the meets coming up this weekend. First, locally, we had the East Peoria Invite. Morton, ranked 10th in 2A, is up there along with Normal U-High, who has been performing very well this year in 1A. Also very strong locally, we have Washington, Normal Community, and Normal Community West, followed by Dunlap and Eureka, and even Mahomet Seymour is coming over for this one. ICC is where this meet is being held at, and it has had some renovations being done on it for a while, so this is the first time that I think anybody in this race will have run it, because they did not have this meet 2 years ago. Last year was at Metamora, and the year before that it got rained out. So it's a new course for everybody. I think it's a little short, rolling a bit, but it should be a great meet nonetheless. Now, not locally, the Palatine Meet of Champions. It's a huge meet, lots of 3A schools, but some solid 2A schools are going to be there too, such as Grays Lake Central, number 1 ranked in 2A, Aurora Marmion Academy, jumped up 8 places from last week, now ranked 4th in 2A, and then Crystal Lake Prairie Ridge ranked 6th in 2A. Fenwick will be there. Haven't really performed this season, but they also have not run their full varsity, so I don't know what's going on there, but maybe they'll run them this weekend. We'll see. Vernon Hills is also going to be there, who was in the top 15, if I'm not mistaken, at one point for 2A. And then some very strong 3A schools, Hinsdale Central, Downers Grove North, Oak Park, River Forest. It's going to be some crazy competition up there. Always is. It's going to be just fantastic to see how fast some people can run this weekend. That's definitely the meet to be looking at. But a little closer in Palatine, Sterling hosting their Rock River Run Invite. Belvedere North, ranked 8th in 2A, is going to be there, along with Maple Park Caneland, who has dropped a bit, but still up in the top 15, and Sycamore, who was once in the top 10, not anymore. And finally, to close off the weekly outlook for meets, we had the Midlothian Bremen Invite. Glenbard South, ranked 5th in 2A, is going to be there, and a ton of 3A schools, but not many 2A schools. So to wherever Glenbard South places in, it'll give us a lot of information about them, because they'll have competition the entire race. They're definitely not going to win. So it will be just interesting to find out how a very strong 2A school can fit in with a lot of 3A schools. But other than that, there is not much else to talk about today. A little bit of a down week, a little bit of a shorter episode. I know it's a day late. I want to apologize once again. But the interview with Charlie was definitely worth it. Once again, I want to thank him for coming on. It was awesome having him on. We talked about some of the weekly meets that are coming up and last week's meets, and we covered Conference Corner once again, Runners of the Week, individual performances, and everything we normally do. Next week, we'll cover the same things we normally do and talk about the Peoria High Invitational, which will be at Detweiler once again on October 1st. Detweiler's not having any big races this weekend, so this is kind of their down week, but we'll kick right back off October with another strong meet, which I know at least we'll be spiking up at. So should be a lot of fast times there. A lot of teams coming. There's a 1A/2A race and then a 3A race. So slotting in those teams, separating them out, should be very fun. And give us a lot of information about how the postseason is going to come as we are narrowing down on regionals October 22nd. We are a month away. Can't believe it's already here. Once again, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Tune back next Wednesday. We will have it released on Wednesday next week. And I will see you then. Thank you for tuning in.